Hey everyone, welcome to my Conquest monthly update session. In this episode, I'm going to be reviewing R11, which went into effect November 12th, 2025. As you can see, I'm in my sample client scenario for John and Jane sample. And as a reminder, upper left corner, we can go into support and resources, knowledge base, and take a look at what's new. And as I mentioned, R11 is right here. Here's a table of contents. We've got some new feature enhancements, starting with Insight Focus and Navigation, Insights Integrity Check, multi-range support, ability to add plan alternative reports to digital stories. This is probably my favorite new feature this month. And then finally, Save Monthly to TFSA strategy. Let's begin at the top and we'll work our way down, starting with Insight Focus and Navigation. So as they're saying here, they've made several enhancements to improve how you navigate within Conquest application when interacting with the SAM Insights. We have staying in focus, plan confirmation, and tab navigation. Let's head over to my sample client scenario and we'll take a closer look at that. So on the right-hand side, we've got Insights and we can click it and open it up and we have our SAM score color-coded from improve, fair, good to great. Now, just as a side note, just want to show you the connection between this and this over here, SAM score is fair. If I click on this component, it opens up all the key factors which are contributing to the fair SAM score. In order to move from fair, good to great, we have to address these key factors. So I'm finding SAM Insights, you can lean on it and you can identify areas of focus when going back into the plan or how to get your plans, your client's planning scenario on track and in good shape. So as you can see here, there's quite a list to go through. And if I scroll down, we've got some items needing attention here as well. And this is color coded. Now, important to note that we can scroll down and we can continue building our plan and generate a client PDF report and even confirm the plan without any issues whatsoever. The one message you always want to keep an eye out for is when it's a critical message, and it's highlighted in yellow, in fact. And that's when a certain metric would be out of an acceptable range. For example, rates of return, growth rates on lifestyle assets, inflation rate, spending, or life expectancy. If you change any of these metrics, it could trigger a critical message that needs to be addressed. So I'll give you an example. In a lifestyle asset, if we have a growth rate within an acceptable range, in this case, 3%, it's fine. So if I were to increase that to a little bit higher, you'll notice right away it triggers a SAM Insight warning. And in fact, it's a critical warning because on the right, now I have that yellow highlight. I have to address this if I want to confirm my plan. As a side note, quickly note up here, review, check insights. Notice we get this pop-up. So there are issues present in the Insights panel. All issues must be addressed, this critical one, before you can confirm the plan. So with this enhancement to SAM Insights this past month, we can simply click here to update the data. It's going to pull me right into that card for the lifestyle assets, and it's going to highlight the more detailed data that I need to go into and adjust. So I'll put it back to a more acceptable range, and that's going to take away that critical message, okay? Now, as another example, we can go into our plan settings, asset allocation, and let's say I created a custom profile that has a rate of return that's outside of an acceptable range, okay? If I go plus profile, return rates, and I go in here to tax-free, and let's say I put in a really high rate of return. It's giving a total rate of return of 15%, and as you can see, it's triggered that critical message on the right. So if I navigate away, it's always going to remind me of the yellow highlight, okay? And even if I go into my review button to check insights, it's going to alert me and it's going to highlight the section on the right, items needing attention. So I can again update data. It's going to pull me in, not only into the card, but the sub window within it, the sub tab, which is investment profiles. And I can simply click on the more detailed data and I can pull back to a more acceptable range. Let's say it's 5%. Okay, so it's going to make that warning go away. So these are features that keep your planning work and your growth assumptions within an acceptable range according to your firm's configuration or FP assumption guidelines. And what are those guardrails? So if I go in and just make an adjustment to one of these, let's go up to this one. So this one I did a 7.8%. If I were to go to 8%, it's going to just be above that threshold. So we can go into the SAM insights and we can see the acceptable range. It's between 0 and 7.8%. So I can update the data. It's going to pull me into the window. Just need to move that aside. So that's the threshold in this example, 7.8. Okay, so that'll keep you on side for anything. Reduce the risk of any creative assumptions that you're using. But there could be an occasion maybe you do want to go above that threshold, but just keep in mind, if you don't address it, unfortunately, you won't be able to confirm the plan. So I covered off a couple of things there with regards to SAM Insight Focus, as well as the integrity check, which I showed you. So I'm now going to move on to ability to add plan alternative reports to digital stories. As I mentioned, this is my favorite new feature within this month's update. And if I go back into my sample client scenario, go into review client resources and present a digital story. So this is where the feature enhancement has come. Now, as you can see, I'm in my Canada Life Conquest, and I don't have a lot of options here, but I'm going to use a version 2, the English Financial Story. Depending on your firm's configuration, you might have different stories or layouts that you can use. Unfortunately, I'm stuck with this one. So I'm going to go in here, and we can see this is a kind of an interesting feature when presenting a plan to a client. It's creating the slideshow, essentially. So you can present the client's story or financial plan and go through the slides. It's very interactive. And in fact, you can click on the graphs and drill down. So you can see there's a lot of room for drilling into things. It's not just a passive approach. And so the new feature they've added is we have now the ability to add additional customization by adding pages. Before, we could only maybe remove a page. And to be honest, that's why I never gravitated towards presenting the story. I just felt it a bit limiting. But with this new feature, I'm going to give it a second thought and maybe give it a try sometime to present the story. So when I hit plus add page, it creates a blank page here, and I can go up to this feature here to the markup tools. I'll draw your attention to the right here, which is add chart or table. And with this new feature, I'm able to add a report on a page. I'm going to give you an example. I'm going to pull up one of my favorite reports, which is retirement paycheck. And I'm going to add it and insert it in here. I have two scenarios built in here. I have a retire at age 60 and a scenario plan alternative, retire at 65. So at first, I'm going to add this one. I'm going to hit select. And now what I can do is I can simply click on here, drag over, and get the scaling just how I want it, right about there. I'm also going to compare and contrast against that other retirement paycheck report, but with the other scenario. So retirement paycheck, I'm going to choose retirement age 65. I'm going to click select, and I'm going to add that in right next to it. With this new markup tool feature, you can see it's quite easy to line things up and get them nice and straight. It's not difficult at all. There we go. So I've got that centered, I think. There, I've got two reports. Well, the same report with two different scenarios, retire at 60 and retire at 65. I'm going to add additional feature within here. I'm going to hit add chart or table. Another really nice visual I like is the goal progress, retirement goal progress. In this report, I'm going to use retire at 60, showing the 95% goal coverage. I'm going to add that in right below. And I'll move it over. See, it's really easy to line up. So a nice feature there. I'm going to hit plus again, and I'm going to go look for my goal progress. Retirement goal progress. I'm going to choose the second scenario, 65, showing the 108% goal coverage. There you go. So you're really only limited by your imagination as far as key reports you want to add and insert in here. Now that I've done that, I can go presenter mode, back to the presenter mode here, back to my presentation. And as I move through it with my client, there's that custom page I created because it's just the visual I want to show my client to get my point across as far as which scenario would be best for my client. In addition, there's always a nice new feature you should be aware of. Well, it's not so new anymore. It's been here a while, but we can have a markup tool where we get access to a pen. And with this markup tool, it allows us to draw on the page even. So we can, as we present the plan, engaging with our client, we can alert them to maybe some of the risks with regards to the retirement goal coverage, right? So think in terms of how you engage with your client, present it. It's not necessarily so passive, right? It can get you involved as well as your client, okay? As opposed to this one, which is 108%, this would be my recommendation for the client. Continue working for another 5 years if you can to improve your goal progress. So really nice feature there. Now we do have this ability somewhat in the client PDF reports. This was added earlier. I'm just going to show you really quickly. Back to prepare report, I can go into my pages here and I can add a section, chart table, and I'm going to insert that retirement paycheck. As I said, it's one of my favorite go-to reports. There's retire at 60. So I can add it in, and right next to it, I want to add the chart and table. I'm going to pull up retirement paycheck, and I'm going to include it, but I'm going to use the other scenario. So remember, whenever you're generating a client PDF report, it always puts the live plan, the primary scenario in the thumbnails, okay? You can customize things, you can add additional pages, and you can also include the other plan alternative, but you have to manually add it in. Always remember that. So I really like this feature with regards to presenting plans either through a client PDF. And like I said, I haven't used it too much, present the digital story, but I'm going to give it a second thought and I'm going to give it a go at some point in the coming weeks. I'm going to figure it out. So if anyone here listening to this has had success with presenting the story, please put a comment down below. I'd love to hear about it and hear some best practices if you're willing to share. Okay. Let's head back to our notes, and the last item on our list is save monthly to TFSA strategy. So the TFSA SAM strategy has now been added to the major expense and education goal, enabling users to save for these goal types in a tax-efficient manner. Believe it or not, when we're solving for an education goal or a major purchase goal, there was never a SAM strategy for the TFSA. We had to sort of work around it, build a strategy or add savings, choose the account, and it just wasn't always lining up, but this new monthly update improved that feature. So let's head over to Conquest. I'll quickly show you what that looks like. If I'm in my planning tab in expert planning mode, as you can see, I've solved for my education goal already, so I'm not going to show you in that one, but I have a major purchase goal. I've called it a Disney vacation. And it's something John and Jane wants to take their family on a vacation. It's a $20,000 need in 2027. Indexed to inflation, future value is $20,900. So as you can see, we now have a SAM strategy for save to the TFSA, conveniently placed right there. So I'm going to click on John's. I'm going to apply the strategy. There we go. And it's come to the determination of $1,200 a month for 13 months. Still at 76%. So I'm going to choose Jane as well. And hopefully with the two of them saving within their TFSA, I'm going to get them a little bit higher. So let's see if I can find the sweet spot. There we go. I got to 100%. So 500 for Jane and 1,200 for John. But there's the ability to change the dollar amount using just typing it in. Okay. So you can make adjustments, or with that little ball, we can move it. I find the little ball is very sensitive, so just move really slowly on there, and we can see the contributors doing that. The other thing I really like about this SAM strategy is down below, you can see the assumed rate of return it's using, 3.84%, because the current portfolio in the asset allocation is moderate income, and in my software, that is a 3.84% rate of return. So it does that for you automatically, which is a really nice feature. So that covers everything for this month's Conquest Monthly Update. If you made it to the end, thank you so much. Appreciate you listening in. Please like this video, put a comment down below. I'd love to see and hear who's watching these. If you have any follow-up questions, you know where to reach me. If you don't, find me on LinkedIn. I'm pretty active there, and I'm always willing to connect with people on LinkedIn. Thank you for watching. Enjoy the rest of your day.